Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the committee for allowing me to participate in this. Just want to point out an article that was in the Wall Street Journal Saturday, the Saturday-Sunday edition, March 25th, 2017, that says dogs still beat technology in the smell test. And I'd like to enter that into the record, if I may. Mr. Carrick, you said they're the best and most mobile detection asset available. I think that.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. And then, Mr. Montez, you said the bad guys are going to seek the path of least resistance. That said, doesn't it make sense to do more in terms of perimeter security at our airports, our transportation hubs, by utilizing dogs, particularly on the, like I said, on the perimeter, or perhaps inside before you go through the checkpoints?
So from TSA's perspective, yes, we do actually use, we have over 800 teams that are deployed at airports across the country, and they work at a variety of locations. They're very mobile, as Dr. Carrick said. They work in the public area. They also work in the security area to screen for any insiders who might intend to do us harm, as well as at our checkpoint.
There's not a constant presence.
There's not.
There's not even a constant presence at DCA. You pull up to the curb and you see a squad car, police car, but you don't see a dog. And I spent 3 hours in the Delta line a few weeks ago when the thunderstorms canceled all our flights, hundreds of people, and there was no patrols with dogs or anything. And it concerns me that we're not doing that in light of what happened in Brussels and I think, was it Turkey? We had an incident, and of course we had the baggage claim incident at Fort Lauderdale. Let me ask you this, Ms. Harvey. I think you were funded at $121.7 million. Are you adequately funded for your Canine units?
Yeah. So in FY17, actually, Congress funded us for 50 additional teams. Mm-hmm. So we are busy training and deploying those teams, and that brings us to a total of 1,047.
Where do you get your dogs?
A variety of sources. So we are co-located with the Military Working Dog Program that DOD runs, and we have an interagency agreement with DOD. We use the same vendors that they use for the majority of our dogs. We also have a couple of agreements with domestic vendors from which we also get.
Who are they?
I am not familiar with the whole list of the vendors that we have.
Are any of the dogs foreign sourced?
Through DOD, yes, some of their vendors are overseas vendors.
Dr. Brown, are any of your dogs foreign sourced?
No.
Thank you. You know, the administration has an emphasis on Buy American, and it just seems to me it would make sense that you would prefer American dogs and American trained dogs over foreign source dogs, particularly the vendors that train them from puppies. Why do you have a preference in any context for a foreign source dog?
Sure. So we don't actually have a preference for foreign source dogs. However, we have a large requirement for a large number of dogs.
Let me ask you this. Do you not have an adequate supply of American source dogs?
We are working very closely with our domestic vendors to build up that supply, but we have not identified a large enough supply domestically to do that.
Have you fulfilled the contracts that you have with American companies?
We're working very closely with the vendors that we have. Those agreements are new.
The answer is no. You haven't fulfilled all your contracts. And that's part of what bothers me is we don't have the perimeter security that I think is necessary at our airports and our rail transportation and other transportation hubs. You're not utilizing all of the assets that are available to you in terms of your funding, and you don't have enough dogs, but there's contracts out there for dogs that you haven't fulfilled. I'd like for you to check into that.
Thank you, we will.
I yield the balance of my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.